Welcome to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Java Skills series. In this video, we're going to talk about arrays. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and all that other good stuff. All right, class is now in session. Now, arrays are what people refer to as a data structure in JavaScript. And let's look at just an overview of an array. Let me come back here. All right, so this is the general overview of an array. So you want to think of an array as an item that can hold multiple things. So in this case, I have this one item here, and it holds multiple apples. And I can move this like that because it's in one container. That is an array. Now, what does an array look like in code? This is an array. So we declare it very similar to a variable, except that with a variable, we're going to include these square brackets. So we have an opening and closing square bracket. So what that is doing is telling Java, hey, we want to create an array. Now, if I were to take this away, that would just be a regular old variable. All right, now, the other side, let's look at the other side. Well, actually, let's come back here. So the name of the array is called nums. I'm going to use the assignment operator, and inside of here, I have my items. So these would be the apples that we had in the previous slide, except we have numbers. So it's just filled up with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, the thing about an array is that the way we access them is through what's called an index. And so this would be index 0, 1, 2, and 3. But let's actually just go and look at how we can do this in code, because this is a good visual example, but we're going to actually make an array. All right, so let's create an array, and we're going to do this by, we're going to use two methods for creating an array. So I'm going to say method 1, and then we'll do method 2 down here in a bit. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we're just going to create an array using the array syntax. So I'm going to create an array of ints. I'm going to call it, I need to do my opening and closing curly brackets, so that's how it looks. And I'm going to do my array. And then I'm going to set it equal to a new int. And I'm going to give it 5 spaces. Okay? That is how we're going to do it. Now, coming back here, I'm just going to look right here. All right, so our first method that we're going to use is basically, we've created the array. So imagine this table. We've created the array. We don't have anyone sitting in any of the seats, but we only have 6 positions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 chairs, but nobody's sitting in there. The thing about an array is we can't resize it. So we can't add another seat, and we can't take away another seat. Okay, we can change the values at each position, but we can't add any additional places. Now, on the other side, this is like creating an array with the seats already populated. And so this will be method 2. So let's continue on method 1 like we have here. So right now we have an array with 5 empty spots. And what we need to do is we need to fill it up. So let's fill up the array simply by doing my array. And we need to use the assignment operator, and actually should be my array at position 0. And I'm going to give that a 1. All right. Now I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to show you what our goal is. So our goal is to fill up the array at each position. So this is index 0, and index 0 contains a 1. Index 1 contains a 2. Index 2 contains a 3. Index 3 contains a 4. And right now, I'm going to make this so that this is 0. All right, so we're not actually going to give a value at index 4. So what's going to happen is Java will automatically give it a default value. So let's see what that looks like in code. So let me go ahead and do exactly what we said we're going to do up there. I'm going to do this. All right, so I have my arrays, and I'm going to set position 1, position 2, and position 3. I'm going to make this a 2, a 3, and a 4. All right. Now notice that I'm not setting position 2, or I'm sorry, position 4. Okay, so this is going to be 0. Let's see what happens. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a look at each value in here. And you can probably see we're going to be doing something because I see a lot of repetition. And whenever you see repetition, that's probably going to be a good place for a for loop, but we're not going to do that yet. So I'm going to say my array, and I want to print out position X. I'm sorry, position 0. Okay. And then I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste all of this. All right, so now I'm going to print out the 5 positions. And remember, it's 5 positions, although this is going to say 4, but remember the index starts at 0. So this is index 1, index 2, index 3, and index 4. All right, so let's print all of these out, because right now we've only assigned values to indexes 0 through 3, but we're printing index 4. So let's print and see what happens. And as you can see, we get a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and we get 0. Right now we don't have this value. It's not assigned. So the default value for an int is 0. A default value for a string is null, and each object will have, or whatever you put in there, was going to have a default value. All right, now let's do some reassignment. I want to make this changes into 14. Okay, so I'm going to change this position 3 into 14. So what I'm actually doing is I'm just actually, you know what? Let me bring it up here. So I'll bring it down here. So I'm reassigning this, and then we're going to print position 3 again. Okay, so or index 3. All right, so what we've done is we're assigning the values here, we're printing them out, and then we're reassigning position 3 or index 3 here. And let's see how if Java will allow us to do that. Uh-oh, and I did not change the value, so let me just change it real quick. So change it, and let's run it again. And so you can see in this first problem, we get 4, right? But then we get 24 down here because this is what we reassigned. This was the value that we were assigning. So remember, in Java, in Java arrays, you can create an array. You can initialize it with empty values, but you can't add another value. So for example, the array has been created. I can't go here, like for example, let me get rid of this real quick. Let me see. So I'm essentially saying, hey, show me index 5. All right, there is no index 5. So we're going to get an error. This is actually one of the easiest errors to figure out if you ever get them. It's going to be an index out of bounds error, right? Or exception, right? These are very easy to figure out. I could also do, I could get rid of that, and I could say my array, and I'm going to do the 4th position, although there is no position. I'm going to set it equal to 10. Okay, so in this case, we've created an array. Actually, no, that's not correct. Let me do this. Oh, okay, so this would be correct because there's actually 5 values, so this would be the equivalent of making this, what are we doing? Making it 10, okay? So this would be the equivalent of doing that, all right? But if I wanted to assign a value to position 5, there is no position 5. So here we're going to get a very similar error, so I can make this 100, all right? So if we were to print this, we're going to get another error, because there is no position 5. So we get an index out of bounds. So that's one of the things you have to be careful about, is that, remember, an array is not resizable. All right, let's continue with method 2. So in the first method, we simply did this. We created an empty array, and we set the values later. In this case, we're going to actually create an array and set the values right away. So let's see what that looks like in code. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. start down here. What's going on here? Let me remember that. Oh, that is the problem. Okay. Okay, method 2, we're going to declare the variables, and then we're going to assign the values right away. So very similar to what we did here, where we have a table full of people, or dogs in this case. All right, so we've created the table and we've filled it up right away. So let's see what that looks like in code. All right, so I'm going to declare an array, and I'm just going to call this my array 2. And then now I'm just going to declare the variables right away. So I'm going to assign each value or each index value right away. So we can just start filling up with random numbers. And we're done. So this is very similar to what we did before. Yeah, let me clean this up here. All right, so this is very similar to what we did before, but now all we have to do now is just get the value. So if I were to just take this, and I'm going to copy and paste this here. So we're going to print out the value of index 0. So this, since this is my array 2, I need to do that. Just add a 2 there. So I'm going to get the value in position 0, and 54 is in position 0, and we should get 54 as our output. And we have an error. So let's figure out what's going on here. Why do we have this error? The error says cannot find symbol. So we're probably just a spelling error. Very simple spelling error. So let's just fix that real quick. And we should, everything should run just fine. And that's typical. You're going to get errors from time to time. One of the things I would suggest with errors is it's important that you are able to figure out the errors really quickly. There are some errors that are kind of hard to find, but then there's some that are just very easy, and you should be able to figure those out really fast. It just will save you a lot of time. All right. Now, again, we've created an array. We've assigned the values ahead of time, and so all we need to do is just basically do whatever we need to do with the array values. All right. All right. Now let me add some more values because I want to show you one more thing. So I'm just going to add, so make this a little bit bigger. Just putting some numbers in here, and then I'm going to I want to bring this out. Yeah, I can just bring this out here. I'll just activate this here. I'll just put this code. So now I basically have my 2 arrays, and I want to show you the length property. All right. So with the length property, it tells us how long or how big the array is. All right. So let's do that. So the first one is easy. So let's just do a system.out.print, and we're going to do my array dot length. And as you notice, as I start to type, it gives me code hinting, and we're going to use the length property, and we're going to print the length. So this should actually just give us 5. This is an array. Its size is basically 5. So let's print that. And it gives us 5. All right, now let's print out the length of this second array. It has a lot of numbers in there, but I'm just going to do this, and we'll print both of them out. So it's going to give me the length of my array and my array 2, and looks like we got another error here, which should be, it's a spelling error, which is very easy to fix. So we should get the length of this array, which it looks like it's going to be 9. So the length of this array is 9. And this is going to be an important skill to figure out once we cover for loops. All right. All right. And for good measure, let me just label this correctly. So this is the length property. And so it's very useful, and you'll see how useful it is in the next video. But one more thing I want to cover in just this graphic here. So this is just a graphic about arrays. We talked about It's the fact that the homogeneity of the array, all of the items in the array have to be the same. So we can't have an array of strings and ints. They have to be all strings or all ints or all of the same. It has to be all of the same type of object. They're fixed in size. So once we create it, we can't change the size. They're index based. So whenever we want to find something or assign a value, we have to use that index. So that would be something like this, right? So we're assigning a value to the third index, and we're assigning a value of 4. So that would be the index. The length property we learned about basically tells us how many items are in that array. Initialize, so any uninitialized values are giving a value of 0 if it's an int. So an array will always have a default value. All right. And so this was the case where I actually, like, for example, if I got rid of this, let's say we didn't have this, and I just didn't give this index a value, it would be 0 because it's the default value. This doesn't mean much to you now if you have not, if you're not exposed to arrays, but all arrays are part of the object class, and I'm going to have a video on objects as well, but that's kind of down the line. But in general, you pretty much know all you need to know about arrays, or Java arrays in this particular instance. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to get rid of this repetition here, right? We had a lot of repetition where we are just doing the same line. And so we're going to look at a for loop and how we can use it to print out the values of an array. So I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And class is now dismissed.